Hello everyone, it's Sakuems here. So I decided to change things a bit on my channel and I wanted to do an update slash what's happening in my life video, and I felt like it was the perfect time to do a voiceover. And I also wanted to thanks Bailey J for making a YouTube tips video, because I realized that making voiceover was actually a pretty good idea, and for some reason I stopped making them because I felt like it was boring. But maybe people would like to know how I do stuff, and it's not exactly a tutorial, but I just feel like it's just for a change, you know, maybe here and there, instead of just doing a random Copic artwork and like put some music, I'm gonna do a voiceover, maybe reply to some questions and just talk about my life and just things that are related to my art career or the video, you know, just things like that. So first I'm going to talk about the artwork that you're watching right now. So this is Leila, and this is the last mini artwork of the series of the mini artworks, because I decided to stop making the mini artwork Sakuems box on my Patreon page because it's taking a lot of time. If you've followed me this past few, like 2 to 3 months, you can tell that there's just one bigger artwork, which is Chantella, and that's about it. All the other artworks that I did are quite simple, quite basic. I like them, but it's not exactly what I want to get involved with, like, as for my art plan, my art career, if you want to mention it like that. But yeah, basically it's a career because it's my job. And so I like making simple art here and there, and that's really just fun. It's really quite simple and relaxing because I spent around 45 minutes coloring this piece. But I still want to do more complex artwork, and my big ass artwork, they take like 68 hours to complete, and I can only record 2 to 3 hours at once because my battery will die. So then I have to wait to charge the battery, and you know, those artworks can take like 2 to 3 days. And with all the work that I had with Patreon, basically making a lot of artworks, plus the fact that I was giving away artworks, I end up having to do multiple simple artworks instead of one bigger artwork, which is what I love to do. So that was quite nice and interesting, but I have a project in mind that requires me to like really focus on bigger artworks, and if I do that, I don't have time for much more simpler or the Sakuems box. So there's still a Sakuems box if you're interested on my Patreon. However, at the moment, when I'm doing this voiceover, there's not any spot available. Everyone is already pledging. There's only 3 spots, and the reason why is, well, first of all, I want to stop making all those mini artworks, at least for now, because it just takes too much time, and also because I want to get started into a summer slash art bootcamp project, which is something I mentioned before. Hang on, I'm losing track all the time. Before speaking about the project, I'm going to talk about this artwork. This is the last mini artwork. You're supposed to talk about this. What are you doing? I'm losing track. Sorry. So back to the artwork. I'll mention the summer project after. This artwork. So this is the last one of the mini artwork series. I have actually another one to do for the contest for Patreon, but I won't do a video of it. So this is the last you'll see, at least until probably like Christmas or something. But anyway, so Leila is actually an artwork. The sketch, like the concept art, was done a long time ago, probably like 2 years ago. It was for a video game concept, like a game design for my for a project I had to do in school. I was paired with someone, a friend of another friend of mine, and we studied a lot of like African myth, and like old story and like old goddesses and things like that. And we created a whole story, and there was I was responsible of the character design, which was really interesting. And I created 2 characters, Leila, which is right here, and also Chinue, which is another one that I might draw I don't know when exactly. Maybe I'll save her for another mini artworks when they come back. But basically the story was two characters, and they're kind of like twin sister, but one of them, they were split at birth, and one of them, Leila, which you can see here, was raised in a different village than her sister. But she was basically, you know, in like some beliefs that twins are evil. One of them is evil and one of them is nice. Basically Leila had a mark, which you can see on her cheek, and she was considered, in the story, she was considered the evil one. So she was splitted, and she was raised by the enemy, like the basically a village where there's like a lot of trouble, a lot of fights, and she was raised in a very bad environment. So she grew up in a very sad and like evil environment, if you want to mention it that way. So she's kind of like really fierce and like she likes to fight, but she's not bad on her own. She's just, people made her be bad. And so yeah, that was a very interesting concept art, even though it was just for a project. If you're interested, I can actually give you the whole file about it. Yeah, and Leila was like one of my favorites amongst like the two sisters. I also like the other one, but she's more like angelic and kind, which is exactly what I usually do. So I really liked working on this. Also, she's a métis slash she's basically, we had in mind that she was, the story was taking place in a fictional world, but it's still based on like South Africa, or like Africa, or you know, like she's Afro-Caribbean, but I had a twist to it. I wanted her to be kind of like a métis, and I absolutely love working with light color hair on people with dark skin. I feel like it looks amazing. Even it looks better than a pale skin with blonde hair, because someone pale skin with blonde hair is pretty common, and I feel like having golden hair, or like, you know, there's just like light brown hair on a dark skin girl or a man, it looks amazing. I really loved the contrast basically. So that's what I did, and it was interesting also to work with a dark skin and just different facial structures, a little bit different, and I really want to work more on such characters, because it's just helping me to, it's just nice to, I guess, explore different ethnicities instead of just like doing my basic white woman's. So yeah, that's why I wanted to do her as well. And I'm basically also recycling old sketches, because I have tons of sketches. I literally have enough work for months and months if I really want to do all of them. So yeah, that's the story basically behind this artwork. Now, I know you already watched a lot of the coloring, but I can still give you a bit of tips and stuff about my process, because a lot of people were wondering how I achieve my glowing artwork. Like, I mean, like a lot of things, like how I shade, what colors I use, why does it glowing, and things like that. And the first thing I want to mention is learn about color theory. This is really important. When you know how warmth and cold are working together, when you know how to work with the families, for example, people want to know how to shade greens. You have many options. You can shade greens with greens, you can shade with yellows, you can shade with blue, you can even have purple, you can shade with like really bright greens, or really toned down like olive and such, like really dull looking greens. There's just so many options. You can even shade with grays. There's just too much, so I can't really, I could make a video about how to shade anything, any color. So the way I work right now is because I've learned stuff while doing it. I'm trying to, which is something that I did like the past 2 to 3 artworks, is working the basic tones and shading with Copics, which basically means shading greens with greens, so like a bit of blue, but I'm just trying to stay away from like doing rainbow art. I'm trying to get a base, so I wanted warm colors, so I stayed with things like the earth tone, the greens and the yellows, and a bit of pink, but I'm trying to stay away from anything else. But I wanted to save, I guess, the way I see it is when you want this to glow and to add dimension, I'm saving this when I'm using color pencils, which is what I'm doing right now. But as for the Copic markers, the basic colors, the shading was just like 2 to 3 markers and that's it. And then I switched to colored pencils. And what I did for every single part of this drawing is basically when you see the green shirt, I added a color family that is next to the greens. So it can be yellow, for example, because greens has yellow, or you can also add a bit of blue because green has blue inside. So if you shade greens with blue, sorry, in the shading, in the shadows, instead of having just a basic dark green, you can have a darker blue that will add dimension. It kind of like adds, I don't know how can I describe it, but when it does what it does to the drawing, it just makes it pop and it's just deeper and it just looks good. It's just the way eyes react to the colors. I really can't describe it, but it just, to me, it looks better if I shade with a bluish green than just a random green. And same thing applies for the skin. I have a brown base, but I also added a bit of yellow, a bit of pink. Same for the hair. There's like 10 colors in the hair. The base is brown, but then I went with the pencil and I added a bit of cream color, a bit of pink here and there, a bit of purple in the pinks, and it just adds a pop of color, and it's just changed the overall look of the drawing. It's just less flat, and I really like how it turned out. So, you know, it's just try to twist things a bit when you shade. If you want to stay plain, it's really fine, but if you want to add something that looks kind of like what I'm doing, any color that you want to shade, try to change the hue a little bit. Don't shade greens with greens, shade with blue. Don't shade flesh with darker flesh, try to shade with purples or pinks. Don't shade browns with just a darker brown. With browns, you can shade with darker reds, you can shade with purples, you can even shade with darker blues or grays. Just experiment, and like I said, learn about color theory can help you out, and also just practicing, just try things, and it will just come, but like eventually after practicing. And like when I'm shading the background, it's a yellow. You will think that to shade yellow you might use a darker yellow or orange, which is like the worst choice ever. Like I really don't like orange, I don't know why. But yeah, I actually I picked a coral green, and it's just blending with the yellow, and it just has something else, just like it's just a pops of color, and it looks green, but it's not as like plain, you know. I don't know how I can describe this, but yeah, that's just the color theory. And I just wanted to have fun, like just had a pop of colors here and there just to enhance everything, and that's just how I do all of my artworks. And then I am also having a bit of darker, like this is a Payne's gray, and I also try a bit something a bit different. I always tend to really just try to do things really smoothly and shade and really blend everything, but sometimes it's kind of boring if you think about it, because I don't want this to look like realistic or anything. I want this to look like an artwork. So I really like when I can had texture, basically. Instead of just like doing a really smooth highlights, I'm trying to grab my pencil and I really just had teeny tiny like strokes just to help define it, kind of like you will see with a painting when you have the touch of the brush. And that's just what I'm trying to do. And yeah, and I also work with my highlighter, so this is just like a white pen. This is a Sakura Jelly Roll. Everyone is asking me what I use to do highlights, and yeah, I'm saying it again. It's a Sakura Jelly Roll. You can use any white pen. I usually don't like actually working with the white pen because it's too, first of all, it's not it's too thick. The thickness of the line is just a little bit too thick. but I'm still just trying my best. But what I did is something I might use again is I smooth it out with a cream color for the pencil, so just so I can smooth out the white that was too strong. And then my final stage is just to outline the character. So I have 2 minutes left, not even one actually. Oh my god. So my summer project is quite exciting. It's basically making a lot of artworks, and I'm gonna make a book out of this. And I might also slow down on YouTube videos because I have to make YouTube videos for the project. So hope you'll be patient. I will try to post a bit. But yeah, I think that will be it. So I'll see you very soon, guys. Thank you for watching. And yeah, I think that's it. Bye bye, everyone.